The champagne flutes trembled in Catherine's hands as she stood outside the venue where, 20 minutes ago, she was supposed to become Mrs. David Rothschild. You can't seriously expect us to go through with this farce. Victoria Rothschild's voice still echoed in her ears, dripping with venom. Look at you. No family, no money, no one even walk you down the aisle. What are you thinking, David? Welcome to Kindness Arena. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and unseen connections that change lives, please help me prove something wrong. My mother said I wouldn't even reach 1,000 subscribers. Help me show her that stories like this matter and deserve to be heard by hitting the subscribe button, liking the video, comment your thoughts, where you're watching from, and share it with someone who needs it to stay motivated. Your support keeps these powerful, true stories alive. Catherine had watched her fiancé's face crumble, watched him choose his family's approval over 4 years of love. The security guard who escorted her out had at least had the decency to look apologetic. Now she stood on the marble steps of the Grandview Hotel in her modest white dress, the one she'd saved 8 months to afford, clutching her small bouquet of grocery store roses. 200 guests were inside. None of them were hers. Her parents had died in a car accident 6 years ago, and her only sibling, her brother Tim, had vanished into thin air 4 years ago after their falling out. No calls, no emails, nothing. She was utterly alone. Catherine's phone buzzed. David's text. I'm sorry. They'll cut me off. I can't lose everything for. He hadn't even finished the sentence. She deleted it, her thumb shaking with rage and humiliation. A black Rolls-Royce pulled up to the hotel entrance, so out of place it made people stop and stare. The driver stepped out, opened the rear door, and a man emerged. Catherine's bouquet fell from her hands. Tim, her brother, looked like a stranger. Sharp charcoal suit, expensive watch, hairstyle back instead of the messy curl she remembered. But those eyes, storm gray like their mother's, were unmistakable. He was 32 now, and the years had carved him into something formidable. Katie, he used her childhood nickname, and something in her chest cracked open. You're here, she whispered. You're actually here. Tim crossed the space between them in 3 strides and pulled her into his arms. She hadn't realized how much she needed that until she was sobbing into his shoulder, for years of loneliness and today's humiliation pouring out of her. I'm so sorry, he said quietly. I'm so sorry I wasn't here, but I'm here now, and we're going to make this right. There's nothing to make right, Catherine said, pulling back and wiping her eyes. The wedding's off. David chose his family. They said I was an embarrassment. Where are they? Tim's voice went cold. Inside. Tim, just take me home. I want to forget this day ever. Katie, listen to me. He gripped her shoulders gently. 4 years ago, I left because I failed. Dad's company was drowning, and I couldn't save it. I was ashamed, but I rebuilt. I started Ottawa Technologies in Singapore. We're valued at $2.3 billion now. I came back to find you, and I tracked your location to this hotel. When I saw it was a wedding venue. He paused. I thought I was too late. I thought you were married and happy and didn't need me anymore. Catherine's head spun. Billion? Tim, what? I'm the CEO of one of Asia's fastest-growing tech companies, and these people who humiliated my sister. His jaw set. They're about to learn exactly who Catherine Ottawa is. Before she could protest, Tim was striding toward the hotel entrance, and Catherine found herself following, her heart hammering. The doorman tried to stop her, probably under instructions from the Rothschilds, but when Tim said something low and showed him his phone, the man stepped aside immediately. The ceremony hall was in chaos. Guests were milling about, confused. On the small stage, Victoria Rothschild was speaking into a microphone, damage controlling. Unfortunate situation, but we simply cannot proceed with a union that doesn't meet our family standards. Catherine Ottawa exceeds every standard in existence. Tim's voice cut through the room like a blade. Every head turned. He walked down the center aisle, commanding attention without effort, and Catherine followed in his wake, her mortification transforming into something else. Something fierce. Victoria's face went pale. Who are you? Security. I'm Timothy Ottawa, CEO of Ottawa Technologies and Catherine's brother. Tim reached the stage, and his presence seemed to dwarf everyone there. And I'm trying to understand why your family thought they could treat her as less than she is. David appeared from the side, looking stricken. Catherine, don't. Catherine found her voice stronger now. You had your chance to stand up for me. Arthur Rothschild, David's father, pushed forward. Now see here, young man. We don't know who you think you are. I know exactly who I am. Tim pulled out his phone, tapped it, and suddenly the venue screen, meant for displaying wedding photos, lit up with a news article. Ottawa Technologies announces record Q3 earnings. The headline read, with Tim's photo beneath it. That's who I am. The question is, who are you to tell my sister she isn't good enough? Murmurs rippled through the crowd. People were already pulling out their phones, Googling. Catherine could see faces changing as they realized. Catherine, Tim continued, his voice carrying to every corner of the room, never needed your family's approval. She's brilliant. She graduated top of her class with a degree in civil engineering while working 2 jobs to put herself through school after her parents died. She volunteers every weekend at a women's shelter. She designed a sustainability project that's going to revolutionize low-income housing in this city, even though she can't get funding because people like you only see her worn shoes and discount dress. Catherine's throat tightened. He'd been keeping track. All these years, somehow, he'd known. She is worth 100 of you, Tim said quietly, looking at David. And you couldn't see it. Victoria had recovered her composure. Money doesn't change breeding. It doesn't change that she has no family. She has me. Tim's voice dropped to something dangerous. And if you'd done a shred of research before you humiliated her, you'd know that Ottawa Technologies just acquired Rothschild Manufacturing 3 weeks ago. Arthur's face went from red to white. That's impossible. We were bought by Eastern Holdings. Eastern Holdings is my subsidiary. Tim smiled, and it wasn't kind. I own your company, Mr. Rothschild. Every factory, every patent, every asset. And I was planning to keep current management in place, but now I'm reconsidering. The room erupted. David looked like he might be sick. Catherine, Tim said, turning to her, his voice softening. I'm sorry I left. I'm sorry I let pride keep me away when you needed me, but I'm back, and I'm never disappearing again. You're not alone. You never were. Tears blurred her vision. You came back. I always would have. I just had to become someone worthy of being your brother again. You idiot, she said, laughing and crying simultaneously. You were always worthy. Tim pulled her into another embrace, and the room faded away. When they separated, Catherine looked at David one last time. He was crying, reaching for her. Catherine, please. I made a mistake. I love you. You love security, she said quietly. And I deserve better than someone who only sees my value when someone else declares it first. She turned to the assembled guests, these people who'd watched her humiliation in silence, who'd judged her by her empty bank account instead of her character. Thank you all for coming today, Catherine said, her voice steady. But there won't be a wedding. I'm worth more than this. She took Tim's arm, and they walked out together, past the stunned faces, past Victoria's furious expression, past David's devastation. The Rolls-Royce was waiting. Where to? Tim asked as they settled into the leather seats. Somewhere far from here, Catherine said. Then, quieter, why did you really come back? Tim was silent for a moment. 4 years ago, I told you I had to make it on my own, remember? That I didn't want family holding me back. It was the stupidest thing I've ever said. I spent 4 years building an empire, and every success felt hollow because I couldn't share it with the one person who mattered. He looked at her. I came back because $1 billion means nothing if I don't have you in my life. I came back because you're my sister, and I was a fool to ever let pride come between us. I miss you every single day, Catherine admitted. I'm sorry I missed your graduation, your job promotion, for years of your life. His voice cracked slightly. I'm sorry I almost missed today, though I'm glad I could stop you from making a terrible mistake. Catherine laughed, the sound freeing. David was a terrible mistake. Catastrophically terrible, Tim agreed. You know what? Let's go to that restaurant Mom used to love. The Italian place downtown, and you can tell me everything I missed, and I'll tell you about Singapore, and we'll figure out where we go from here. Together, Catherine said. Together, Tim confirmed. As the car pulled away from the Grandview Hotel, Catherine looked back one last time at the venue where she was supposed to surrender herself to someone who couldn't see her worth. Then she looked forward at the city streets opening up before them, at her brother beside her, older, wealthier, but still the same person who taught her to ride a bike and dried her tears when their parents died. She wasn't alone anymore. Maybe she never had been. Her phone buzzed with increasingly frantic texts from David, then from Victoria, then from Arthur. She turned it off. Tim, yeah, I'm really proud of what you built. He smiled, genuine this time. I'm really proud of who you are, Katie. Always have been. Now come on, I have about 4 years of brother duties to catch up on, and I'm thinking we start with the biggest plate of carbonara you've ever seen. Catherine laughed, really laughed for the first time in months. The wedding dress felt less like a symbol of failure now and more like armor she'd worn in a battle and survived. Tomorrow, she'd go back to her sustainability project. She'd keep fighting for her dreams. But tonight, she had her brother back, and that was worth more than any marriage to the wrong person. The Rothschilds would wake up tomorrow to find their company under new leadership. Tim would make sure of it, but that was just business. The real victory was this. Catherine Ottawa knew her worth now, with or without anyone's validation, and she would never forget it again. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that kindness is never wasted and that even a broken path can lead to beautiful places and change of lives, please like this video, share it with someone who needs a little hope today, and subscribe to Kindness Arena, because your support keeps stories like this alive and spreading. Tell us in the comment what you would have done differently if you were the Rothschilds. Would you have allowed Catherine to continue the wedding? Or has a stranger's kindness ever changed your life in ways you didn't expect? We'd love to hear your story.